SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
At Community Bank, we're more than a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors and trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've helped families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. We're dedicated to your success every step of the way. Community Bank, member FDIC.
Here we go. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a good day again today here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here, and I was just struck by the fact that you can tell you're aging. Lance Tolbert in the booth. I picked up this sheet that I needed to read, and I found myself tilting my head back and looking down my nose at it so I could read it better. I'm like, yep, I'm 172 years old now.
That's
How you
all
doing
right,
this
man.
morning?
I'm doing great. It's Friday. Got through a nice long week. Got some probably some wet stuff coming, and baseball, basketball, so many things happening. And there's nothing going on in the news. Nothing.
Jeez. Look, there comes a time when we're going to have to pull the ripcord and bail out on the nonstop, ridiculous, overblown, hypocritical drama.
Oh man.
Which I think is probably the best way to explain what's going on right now.
Well, it's definitely, as the Dixon would always say, as the weather cools down in football, the action heats up. Well, it seems it's exactly the opposite right now. Is that everything's warming up? It seems that politically, globally, everything is heating up, and a legislative session that is obviously in full swing and a lot to be debated there.
Friends
Making
every
a lot of
day
friends
that goes by.
Yeah, I'm sure they're waiting for the weekend too. So
our buddies over on Capitol Hill over there keep finding new ways to upset voters. I'm not really sure that's a winning long-term strategy.
Yeah, it's interesting. With the voters, they definitely will let you know about it come election time.
Yeah.
That's your check and balance right there.
But see, I still say, and this doesn't relate to Mississippi necessarily, this is in general across the board, that's kind of the operating attitude, which is, well, yeah, we're doing bad stuff now, but, people will forget because we'll have 720 other things happen before Election Day, and they'll have forgotten about this by then.
Yeah, it's a book that you would have to sift through. It's like going into the IRS probably and reading the tax code. By the time election comes, so many things have happened that, like you said, you forget about things that were maybe 3 months, 4, 6 months ago, and it's really going to be the stuff that's right there front and center, and really the skill of whoever your opponent is to kind of dredge up those things and keep them fresh. That's what you hope doesn't happen. You hope they're a terrible researcher.
Well, the problem there is they're not wrong. People have short memories, except in certain specific areas, in which case they manage to worm something into people's minds and they run with it forever, and suddenly everything relates to it. Looking at you, Epstein files. However, I used the word hypocritical in my little blast right at the beginning there for a reason. Because of the vote yesterday in the House. I'm sure you saw this that Representative Nancy Mace put up to release the names and the details of the people in the House who have used money from the House slush fund to pay off sexual harassment claims against them.
Ooh, seems like there may be a list or something.
Oh, there is.
If you're asking for it, you kind of know it's there.
The House voted to not release that, 357 to 65.
Ooh, yeah.
Wait, I thought we wanted everybody to be held accountable for things like this. I thought we needed the names. We got to release the files. We got to do this. This is the most important. Okay, you got to have that same attitude about this, or you're a hypocrite.
Well, the 60, I guess they were innocent.
65 apparently have nothing to hide. 357?
Yeah. It brings up some question marks, huh?
Don't know.
Got to start keeping a tally here. I'm
That
a little
doesn't
whiteboard in the office.
Well, that doesn't mean they did anything wrong.
No,
those 357, but boy, does it kind of cast some suspicion in their direction.
Yeah. It's like, what is it? What was the old book, The Scarlet Letter?
Yes.
Not saying that they're guilty. And people have been accused of things and not done them before. But when you have that kind of swing, that many say, no, let's don't release this stuff.
This is probably one of the most bipartisan votes we've had in the House in years. Not just this session, in years.
Well, the great question
up in Washington.
Well, I think a question I would ask you and our listeners is, how important to the American people is it? Because I would imagine 90%, 85 to 90% of the American people would like to know if their representatives or if they're anyone in the government or anybody that they keep in high power or think of in a positive way has been, implicated in this. And are they guilty or not? But you don't see that the same percentage holds up in Congress. I mean, you'd think about 85, 90% of Americans would want to know. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. We have so many things, and I've got something else that relates to things going on in Mississippi that I'm going to use later in the show to illustrate this point. Everybody gets upset over what they're told to be upset about, and everything else they're told to sit down and be quiet.
Yeah.
And everybody keeps going along with this. That's a big part of our problem. Mm-hmm. Everybody has been told, it's been pounded. Everybody's been shrieking from the rooftops about the Epstein list. I've been saying for a while, you know this, Lance, my question the entire time has been, okay, this is going to impact your life personally. How? Mm-hmm. Whether they release them or not. The same thing applies here, but you can't get two different answers depending on who's on the hook.
Yeah. It's got to be, as we pride ourselves here, it's just getting to the truth. It's not really picking a side. It's just knowing what the truth is. And again, here, it's the SAVE Act, another, 80, 95% range. Americans want. It seems that the Congress and legislature agrees that it's an important thing, but yet you can't get anywhere on it. You got to make deals and backroom stuff, and who's going to scratch your back and who's going to scratch mine. It's just pass the dang thing. Come on, that's what you're up there for.
You would think that, but as it turns out, passing legislation is apparently not what elected representatives are there for at any level. No. Once you elect them to represent you, they go do whatever the heck they want to do and play whatever little games they want to play. And who cares if you get any results out of it? Oh, well, we gotta get the right result. Come on.
Well, hey, Jasmine's gone. She got put out as far as in her primarying.
Yes.
That was kind of seen a ways off. What a performer, though. I mean, you got to give her credit. Without the intelligence probably needed to function at an extremely high level, and that's just, you could listen to her talk and her argument, but a great performer as far as if the stage was there, she'd have been a great actress. Got to give her credit,
My favorite spin on that, I don't know if you've seen, the Democratic Party has put out things ever since she got beaten by Tellerico in the Democratic primary. Well, the first thing was Crockett came out and said, well, this is what Republicans do.
Yeah.
Honey, it was all Democrats in this race.
And like I said, the intelligence level's questionable, but the performance is second to none.
But the spin from the overall Democratic Party, I saw a post yesterday that listed her among two or three other people who lost and said, I'm sorry, ladies, America is just not ready for black women in power.
Yeah, okay.
Here's the nuance they're missing when they say things like that. And they're missing it on purpose because it is a PR spin, 100%. Just insert a couple of more words in there and you're exactly accurate. America's not ready for that black woman in power. You left out the word that. Once you put that in there, yeah. but we have to generalize everything. Wait, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're 100% right. I love it. Yeah, it is case sensitive here, right? Yeah.
The stock market's been going crazy this week. Has anybody checked to see what the stock price is doing for fake eyelash dealers? Because it's got to have gone down once she lost on Tuesday.
Definitely. I think that was the house slush fund. You could use it for that, too, if need be.
The house fake eyelashes slush fund.
Did you lose your eyelash while you were in a fight with Marjorie Taylor Greene? Well, we have you covered right over here.
Mitch McConnell would show up with his hand out, and they'd have to say, okay, number one, this is a house fund, Senator. Number two, you're not wearing fake eyelashes. And he would go, but I heard there was...
Where's my pet turtle?
Money.
Money? Yeah. I thought that was available.
You got to have that pause, or you're not doing an appropriate Mitch McConnell impersonation.
Well, you got to give him time to think.
As usual, I showed up this morning with a lot of grievances and complaints. That's the way I live my life. So it's going to be that kind of show. Just brace up for it. We'll get going here in just a moment. Maybe. Depends on what the caffeine does in the next 3.5 minutes. We'll find out together on the other side of the break here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Track.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
On with the show.
Is back.
Holy smokes.
On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Maybe I'll start tonight. You'll just cry like me. Baby, let's just wait and see. Maybe I'll start tonight and do things right.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Presented by Community Bank, where they're more than just a place to manage your money. They're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, they've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. They're here for you every step of the way. They're dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always there when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC.
Hey, and they'll be there for you when you need to close that first savings account, too.
Oh, look, a little economy commentary coming from Lance here.
Oh, I was off the cheap seat, I'm sorry. No, that was funny. I remember having a savings account, but man, I don't know how long that one lasted, into college, and after that, I think it was depleted, and then the checking account became the dual threat quarterback there, savings and checking.
Emergency disbursements from 401ks are at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, things cost a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the least surprising thing I've ever heard. I had to get some plumbing work done this week, back at the beginning of the week.
That's never cheap either.
Had a clog. Had a good one because it was in the main line under the yard, running out to tie into the main sewer system. Tree roots.
Yep, that's what'll get you, man. They'll end up telling you, hey, you need to have new pipes.
Yes.
You'll hear that one after your home's been there for a while.
The quote for the new pipes was ridiculous, but the work that they did, and they did several things, did a fantastic job, but they did several different things other than just clearing that out. But it was $2,000.
Ooh, man. That'll get you. I mean, I filled up, I put $20 in the other day, and it got me as far as 10 was getting me in the car. I like doing 10 a lot of times just because it shows me how far I can get, without having to get more in. And it just builds habits. Now, if I'm going on a trip, obviously, I'm not going to put $10 in the car. But I had to do 20 just to get to the same point, in the fill-up cycle there. So that's how I keep up with it. I used to do that a lot as a stockbroker, too, and kind of, how far am I going on $10, man?
Yeah,
not far.
That's a good measure, a standardized measure. You like that? That's a great way to look at it. I guarantee you, if you go do that today, it's going to, that $20 is going to get you what 5 got you.
That's right. Well,
because it continues to shoot up.
Well, no, you got the the big boys over there working the Strait of Hormuz and really trying to disrupt. You had some Amazon data centers busted up over yesterday, I believe, several of them.
Yeah.
In the region of the Middle East. And so, yeah, they're firing them off, man. And this thing's going to go on for a bit. And just kind of no war I've ever seen. Nothing ever with a major country and major operations takes a week.
Yeah, well, this is always the way it is, the way it's always been. But I want to remind you that we were talking about how quickly the news cycle runs. Well, sometimes things that are currently in the news cycle, and this is part of the problem, we don't realize how long these things have been ongoing because we've forgotten what happened. I went and looked back for the top headlines in January. One of those was protesters in Iran attempting to keep up their demonstrations against the country's theocracy after the Islamic government started gunning them down in the streets. This didn't just happen over the last couple of weeks. It's literally been going on all year. And we're here in March. By the way, also, the other top headlines for the first couple of weeks of January included President Zelensky holding up peace negotiations. When's the last time you heard one single solitary peep about Ukraine?
I think he's been wearing suits, and that probably might be why. He's blending in with everybody now.
That was the nonstop top news story. It's vanished now.
Gone.
It's not that it got bumped down to the second or third spot by the military action. It just, you don't hear anything about it anymore.
Well, and one of our listeners gave us a text this morning and said, I haven't had the first spam call since we invaded Iran. And that
they're busy.
They're busy, yeah. And maybe Russia and China is a little busy too. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I haven't had any spam calls. I hadn't had the spam emails either.
I have had a couple of spam calls still. I had 3 yesterday.
Ooh.
Now, keep in mind, that is a major improvement because I average about 12 to 15 a day. So down to 3 is a big deal. I don't know why. Explain this one to me. And I get this on a regular basis. For whatever reason, one of the spam callers keeps spoofing a phone number from Tum Suba.
Yeah, I've had the Tum Suba call. I'm like, I don't think you're from Tum Suba.
No.
I'll answer it every now and again and play around with them, So,
and you answer the phone and it's somebody with an obviously, foreign accent and a ridiculous localized name. Hello, this is Gary.
Yes.
No, it's not.
This is Jennifer. Like, no, I don't think so.
It's not Steve. Sorry. Nobody's buying that. But yeah, that is interesting. I don't think they'll go completely away because we're not attacking India.
No, yeah, that's one of the areas. India is a fascinating place, too, because the economy is about 50% of it. They don't even know what's going on. I mean, it's what you call a black market in traditional sense, but it's not just drugs and prostitution. It's like it'd be like going to the gas station. That gas station's just not on the platform, or going over here and buying clothes or whatever it may be. It's just not on the system, And when you got billion-plus people, who knows what's going on?
No one is going to take the time to try to figure out if their bananas are black market or not. They're going to go get the cheapest price and the best bananas and go home and eat.
I have Thomas has generally will let us know a few times a week about the H-1B program, and I've really done some digging, and I kind of played around with Richard the other day and sent him I'm Thomas the texter. I'm Textline Thomas, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. With the number of H-1B visas they're really out, it's like 750,000 or around that ballpark. About more, 500,000 or so really focus on the tech industry. Well, this has been going on since the 90s. So let's add 30 years. So you're telling me in 30 years, we can't educate 500,000 people to take those jobs? So, Thomas, I'm with you, brother. I've done the math. I've done the research, and it's really one of those holes in education where you're like, why? I mean, really, we can't educate folks in math and tech as well as India can, who has a country that's literally, who knows what's going on in it?
I'll tell you where the problem lies, and it's not in educating our people. It's not. Here's what is going on. What nationality is the head of Microsoft? I'm going to give this as an example.
There you go.
What nationality is he? He's Indian. Guess who he keeps hiring? people from India.
I was going to say Australians. No.
Phil Spencer, who had been the head of Xbox for Microsoft for decades, like 30, 40 years, going all the way back to the beginning, retired. Who'd they replace him with? An Indian woman who was the head of AI already for Microsoft and came in and immediately announced that they're putting in an AI companion on Xbox where if the game has a hard spot, it'll just take over and play it for you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But when you get people from a different nationality in positions of hiring authority and power in the U.S., they're going to bring their own people in.
Well, it's fun.
That's the way it works, and that's easily provable if you go look this up. This isn't just Dave's opinion.
It's fascinating to me too because open source code writing, all that. The gamers are really one of the most front line, cutting edge programming groups out there in terms of where we've gone with a lot of the drone technology and their ability to interface because of the gaming community. A lot of that is subbed out and done in that way. So it's an interesting world where it's not really like under a roof and there's a little group over here just inventing drones and different tech. It's a really spider's web world of innovation. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Why we would have, say, China building, your 5G. Like when we move to the next one, it's probably best if we build it. If we do,
you would think,
yeah.
And there are plenty of people floating around out there that have the skills, have the qualifications, and had the education to do it. But that's where part of the problem is with the H-1B visas, is that it enables people to bring other folks in to do the job instead of hiring locally. That's been the argument this entire time. And I do want to say something. You brought Thomas up. Known Thomas for a while. We give Thomas a lot of grief on here.
Well, I love Thomas, yeah.
But I want to make sure that we highlight one particular thing about him and others like him. Devil's advocate is an extremely valuable position to have.
Yes, sir.
For everyone else. Otherwise, you get yourself caught in an echo chamber of, ultimately stupidity is where it leads.
Well, intelligence can't debate stupidity. No.
Right. You got to be open no matter how far out in left field it is.
Hey, man, I text with Thomas back and forth, so yeah, I love Thomas. Like on my personal phone, yeah.
I do too. I've gotten into it with Thomas. I think we all have at one point or another, but that's the point.
Keeps you sharp.
I just want to make sure that we call that out. We continue on this Friday morning on mornings right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
From the Zebra
with Richard Cross. Super Talk Mississippi.
Little Cuban dance music for you.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard that. That's not bad.
I love it. That's a great disc too.
Not bad at all. Who was it?
It's called "Flowering Inferno" by Cubrioso El Mar is the name. Not sure about the band, but I found them a while back, probably a year or so ago, and went through all of it. It's all very instrumental and very similar to that.
You're as bad as I am when it comes to YouTube and Spotify and everything else. You start out going for one thing, and 10 hours later, you're listening to the theme from a 70s cartoon on repeat.
Hey, don't lie to our listeners. We came across a treasure trove of AI kind of soul music that was created recently, and I sent it to you. Man, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. And the music was good, too. It was smooth and clean, and the lyrics were awesome. But, you can't play it on air. But, good Lord.
Oh, no, it's not airable. I did nominate one of them in a text to you for the new national anthem.
Oh, man.
But
I wish I could share that with folks.
To edit it and make it airable, number one, the song would be 3 seconds long. but just to edit the title so I can say it out
I
loud.
think all the titles were pretty much telling. Yeah.
Mind your business. That's
Mind
the
your
one I
business.
nominated to be the new national anthem.
I love that song too, man. I've been playing it constantly for the last 3 or 4 days. Well, man, we've got some weather we might want to touch base on with ball games around the neighborhood. In Oxford area, there's going to be some cloudy and 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, around mainly before 3. I know you got a couple ball games starting as a double header today. Let me double check on the time on that for you. Right now, that's 3 o'clock, and then 45 minutes after the first game, Ole Miss will take on Evansville in a double header in Oxford, Mississippi. So hopefully the rain will be out of the way by 3 o'clock. Tonight, 30% chance of showers after 4 a.m., so hopefully it doesn't take them that long to get the game in.
You wouldn't think so, but
Let's hope not.
We have seen exceptions to that.
Tomorrow, showers and possibly thunderstorms. It'll be around 73 degrees. There'll be some wind. Chance of wet stuff's about 100%. So, make sure if you have plans at the ballpark tomorrow to pay attention to that weather. Tomorrow night, same. Showers are likely. Some thunderstorms potentially. Chance of the wet stuff will drop to about 70%. Should get about an inch or a little less over that course of the rain. And then as of Sunday, things will start kind of clearing up a little bit. You still have a chance of showers, but it's much less, 40%. And then as of Sunday night, 20%. So hopefully those ball games in Oxford will be able to get put in. The Till and a bunch of W's. Starkville's not much different, guys. I'm not going to read it all out because it's almost the exact same copy and paste format. Be careful. There will be rain, and it'll be about 80 degrees. You'll have some wind out there, but most of the rain's around 90 to 100% over Saturday and Saturday night. Drops down to about 80%. And then Sunday, still a chance of showers a little bit higher in Starkville, around 70%. So by Sunday night, it'll start clearing out a little bit. And then Wiggins, Mississippi, much the same. You got games in Hattiesburg, so, we'll be on about the same format all weekend. Sunday night, though, you're up to about 80%. So most of the central down to the south portion of the state will have a little bit higher chance of Sunday night rain than the northern part. But pretty much it's just going to be one of those weekends where you got to pay attention to the rain. It will be warm and it will be windy. And then as far as the Delta goes, again, much the same, guys. Showers all through the weekend. Chances are going from today at 20% all the way up to about 80% Saturday night, and then Sunday around 60%. So that kind of covers our weather outlook. And
Well, I'd like to say, by the way, I want to jump in here. Late Saturday night, we have the chance for some loud weather. Passing through the state. We've got another front coming this way, and it looks like it could develop into something nasty. So keep your weather eye pointed in that direction.
Well, and that the Euro model is really on time for if you're looking for when those things are going to be moving through. It does look to me like there's going to be some red, some lightning and thunder, and those types of things mixed in. Those were not like big swaths, so they were kind of like push pins on a map where you're going to have rain, but there will be areas in that rain where there will be some rascaling as far as the weather goes. So you got to be careful, but it shouldn't be widespread, but it will be, kind of here and there. So
it won't be widespread. The areas that don't get it won't get it, but you don't know which areas are which.
Exactly.
Until it happens.
It's going to rain, I can tell you that. But as far as where those thunderstorms, the lightning, and those things happen will be kind of sparse. Now, there were some interesting birthdays today, Dave, and I'm going to start out with the Big Daddy. Shaquille O'Neal turned 54 years old today.
Man.
NBA Hall of Famer. And, what else can you say about the guy that hadn't been said 100 times other than, the biggest, best big man of all time, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I think he would definitely be in the argument.
Got to be. I'm not saying he's a Wilt Chamberlain went out and scored 10,000 points in a game, or anything like that. But game changed, and his ability to dominate a game from college all the way through was evident almost in every game he played. You never missed him, and not a great free throw shooter, but did improve as he went on. Tom Arnold turned 67 years old. True Lies, and then obviously Roseanne. He was a writer there and was kind of hooked up with her for a while, huh?
I think they were married, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
Yeah. I cannot believe how long it has been since I have heard the name Tom Arnold.
Well, go watch Soul Plane, because that to me is one of the best movies he's ever been in. Snooping.
You have a very distinct, well-defined band of taste, don't you? Yeah. I can tell.
I do, man. I have to admit it. Yeah. Rob Reiner died in 2025. 65, would have been 79, All in the Family.
Back
Harry
in
Met
December.
Sally, yeah, that was a heck of a weird, situation there, but what a great director. And seen all of his movies many times. That's one of those that it's kind of hard not to watch his stuff and enjoy it.
He, to me, is a perfect example of something we've talked about before. We have to get back to being able to separate someone's politics from what they do for a living.
Yes.
He was an incredible filmmaker. He made some of my favorite movies of all times.
That's right.
Personally, when it came to politics, he was, in fact, a meathead.
Yeah.
But
As so many of them are.
that doesn't take away from what he produced. It was fantastic. Some of the Princess Bride. I'm sorry, if you don't like The Princess Bride, get out.
I'm with you. I don't know of a movie that he made that I didn't like, honestly.
Yeah. So he made good. Sometimes bad people make good stuff.
It happens, doesn't it? You don't
Yes.
have to agree with everybody to appreciate their abilities and to appreciate their expertise in what they do. We got another couple here that are pretty good ones. Alan Greenspan.
Oh wow!
His birthday. Yeah, I think. I remember back as the market was tanking, the housing market was going up in flames, and to get a really good pat on the back from your Fed chairman, he basically says, "Well, we just need to burn a lot of houses." Like, hold on now. I don't know if that's the right.
Solved a lot of problems.
He was being honest, but hey, I don't know if that's what a lot of folks wanted to hear. It only got worse from there, and we kind of rest is history. Marion Barry, what a name there. Come on, man. 28-term mayor of D.C. No, I'm kidding. He went 4 terms, but in the third one, as he got into that third term, his cocaine and alcohol addiction had really taken to the top levels of and top echelons of his brain. By he ended up getting in trouble. Obviously, went to jail. I didn't smoke that crack, but he did actually. But he was a hero. Back in the 70s when the what was it, the Muslim group that went in. I'm trying to remember the name of them.
Oh man, I went blank.
But he was of a Nation of Islam. Well, he got accidentally shot by one of them as they were trying to take over that District of Columbia meeting. He healed and became very, what you would consider a hero, and that kind of embattled him a bit, I think, as he was so well respected, had such a great kind of pull in politics, and then the addiction level kind of jumped in on him and got him. But he, interesting guy. It says Marion Barry was born in Itta Bena, Mississippi. That's what it says.
Huh.
Did not know that. Yeah. And he was big in the civil rights movement too. So what a interesting person, and very embattled, very troubled late in his career. And so that's what we got there. There was a couple of other things though, and I wanted to mention the tomb of the pharaoh Tutankhamun was opened on this day in history, and to much more riches and pomp and circumstance than 1987. When Geraldo Rivera opened Al Capone's vault and found a whiskey bottle. So,
Yeah. I watched that live with Geraldo.
I was a kid too watching that, going, "This is going to be cool." You knew who Al Capone was, and then it was a 2-hour special. But at that time, that special was like 30 million viewers, which was the most watched special of all time up to that point. And
But that to me was right at the leading edge of when we started getting sold Bull Dookie as an event.
That's what I was kind of leading into. Well, if everything was like Tutankhamun's tomb, where you opened it up and there was stuff there, but the Geraldo deal was much like the opposite, where it was just build up, but there was a big nothing burger or a Abigail Spam burger, however you want to put it.
You're never going to let that go, and I love you for it.
I'm sorry, I love that, but no,
it's too good. Yeah,
but it did create the mindset of where we are today. I think where you build something up and it's just not there.
I would just like to point out, by the way, this is the week we're just 2 or 3 days removed from the USM Golden Eagles beating the number 4 Mississippi State Bulldogs. I love all of our teams, just not equally to the top. Just going to say that.
To the top.
There's one campus out of all of them I attended classes on. Guess which one? Give you a hint. It's not in Starkville. Nothing against them. I'm very familiar with Hattiesburg, though. We can
From the Venable Glass Trap.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
All right, it's go time for your bank account. As long as you go get a ticket, that's the entire way to win with the Mississippi Lottery. Now, a couple of things here. Powerball, low jackpot. We recently had a tiny winner, relatively speaking. But the jackpot's back up to $35 million on that. Next drawing tomorrow night. Mega Millions is the one everyone is watching. Next drawing tonight. It's at $496 million. The estimated cash value, $232.6. If you take that one-time lump sum cash payment for your winnings that you're going to receive. By the way, you're going to win. I'm telling you right now, you're welcome. The Millionaire for Life game, no millionaire winner. Drawing that every day. But I want to spend a minute to talk about the new multiplier madness. Have you heard about this, Lance? This is kind of cool. They've got 4 different scratch-offs in retailers. They call them all-star scratch-offs. I love it. The $2 tickets, the top prize, $20,000, but there are 2X multipliers. Instant. 20,000, no, you may win 40,000 on the same ticket, just bam. You've got $3 tickets, crossword ticket. So you do a little crossword puzzle on it to scratch it off. Top prize is $35,000. They have 5 times multiplier on that one that you can uncover and get 5 times. That'd be what, 175,000? If you won the 35,000 and multiply it times 5, that's $175,000. I'll take it. $5 ticket. Now we're getting into business. Now we're getting down to work, Lance. The $5 ticket in this series, the Multiplier Madness, $100,000 top prize, multipliers up to 10 times. That's $1 million.
Yeah, for $5, right?
For $5.
Yeah.
And then they have a $10 ticket in this series. The top prize there, $200,000. The multipliers up to 20 times. Mm-hmm. That's $4 million.
You got to have your calculator out.
And that's a 10. I heard you clicking keys. I think you were double checking my math, weren't you?
I was double checking my bank account.
Oh well, that's easy. As long as you know where the decimal is, you can check mine, no problem.
I need more in front of the decimals as well.
But those are 4 different chances to win at various price points from $2 up to $10 for a ticket, where you can win anywhere from $40,000 to $4 million on these tickets. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Any way you look at it, they are out now. They are at the retailers, up for sale, the Multiplier Madness. Keep an eye out for them, because you may think you won big, and then you double check it and go, oh, wait, no, I won really big. That's kind of a good one. Winners, cash for, man, I love this. And we have some of the multiple ticket winners. Meridian Woman won $3,303. Why not $3,333? I rarely have any criticism on the way these things are laid out, but you're missing $30 here to make it 4 threes. Come on. She won that. Port Gibson Woman won $6,750. A Gulfport woman, that $6,750, by the way, was won on 5 tickets bought at the same time. Gulfport woman won $10,000 on 2 tickets. A Gulfport woman won $20,000 on 4 cash for tickets. So you can get creative, and you can commit, I guess would be the way to put it, and get a lot of money as a result. The full of 5,000s, Carrollton man bought a ticket in Greenwood. Guess how much he won on the full of 5,000 scratch-off?
5,000, huh?
That would be correct. Yes, a $20 scratch-off ticket.
I'm on my A game today.
He didn't even break the calculator out for that one. I'm kind of proud of him. The 200X Cash Blitz scratch-off, that's a $20 scratch-off. A woman from Sycamore, Georgia. Welcome to Mississippi. Yeah. Leave all your money here. Bought a ticket on the 200X Cash Blitz game in Madison. Won $1,000. You put in $20, you get out $1,000. That's a good transaction.
Yeah, man, she may be able to drive back to Georgia and have some cash left.
She could almost fill her tank back up to go home. Yeah,
stop at a Buc-ee's, and eat.
And the Millionaire Maker, that's the new $30 scratch off. I believe that's the first $30 scratch off we've had with the Mississippi Lottery. Clarksdale man bought a ticket in Clarksdale, won $1,000 in Clarksdale. Is probably going to spend it in Clarksdale because it just seems like he's that kind of guy.
He's a Clarksdale guy.
Yeah, you got to be a homer. What's the point otherwise, right?
Invest locally, right?
There are literally millions upon millions of dollars that someone is going to win. And here's a fun little philosophical fact. You're someone, but you got to buy a ticket to have a chance. So visit your Mississippi Lottery retailer today. We've got news from Fox, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then we get into the meat of the matters in the 7 o'clock hour, hour number 2 of mornings on the way next on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Let's go. Waking up the Magnolia State. Mornings with Richard Cross.
That's what it's here for.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is where you can go to get more information. Okay, we have absolutely nothing to discuss, but we'll do the best we can to scrape a few things together here in the middle hour of the show.
I have my legal pad out. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
You think you're joking? There's my legal pad.
I know how you roll, baby.
You know exactly what happens over here.
I've seen it too many times.
Yeah, that's true. It's usually when I pick it up and almost throw it across the room about 5:30.
Like Paul Gallo, man. He would be so funny in the breaks because he had this stack of papers, and he would always tell me, "You need to print everything." I said, "Sir, I'm not printing. No, that's a different era, and I got 88 screens open here. I can work." Well, what if the internet doesn't work? That's why I got a phone. I'm not printing, but he would have this stack, and he'd get so funny in the breaks as we'd be talking, and he'd just be throwing stuff left and right, just throwing it left and right. And I'd say, finally, I was like, "How long does it take you to clean up after the show?" He goes, "Man, I got stuff everywhere." And he did.
A surprisingly short amount of time it took him to clean up.
He was never worried about the garbage can either. I mean, it just went flying.
Yeah, most of the time he would just pull it together and kind of stack it neatly and then just chunk the whole stack and move on.
I'd start laughing so much, man, watching him function with all that paper, and he loved it too. I mean, it was just, that was his comfort zone. He had that paper stacked up. He's ready to go. Everybody
has their own process.
Yeah.
And I'm much closer to Paul's era of radio than current radio. Mm-hmm. Started in 82. So I go back a minute or two. But I have moved with the times a little bit. My legal pad is here with a list of bullet points as a reminder of the various tabs I have open. I have about 40 tabs open on my laptop here.
Yeah, I always, that's it. Starting at about 30 and moving up as we go through the show usually.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the Mississippi legislature.
Oh, good, yeah. What topic are we working on? Okay.
Teachers don't need more money, but student athletes do. Yeah. Let's start there, shall we?
That sounds legit, right?
Well, that's two things that happened this week. And not just teachers that the pay raise died. In addition to that, the Tier 5 reforms for PERS, the new tier in the public employee retirement system, that's what PERS stands for. They were going to reform that and make some changes so that we could at least kind of stay competitive to get the best people. That fell by the wayside as well. But we did manage with a lot of hard effort to get it across the line to make sure that any NIL money paid to student athletes is tax-free in the state.
Yeah.
I have said this before. I'm going to say it again right now. Our biggest problem, and we have a lot of things that we complain about, a lot of partisan arguments, obviously. We have complaints about nothing getting done. We have complaints about a million different aspects. To me, the number one biggest problem we have everywhere, at the municipal level, at the state level, at the federal level, is misplaced priorities.
That's a good point, yeah.
Well, I'm going to give you another example. There's been several counties and municipalities, another one down here in southwest Mississippi did it this week, voted to ban kratom sales. We've got to get rid of kratom. We've heard about kratom over and over and over and over. 5,400 people died from tobacco-related reasons last year alone in the state of Mississippi.
You can burn them down anywhere, too. But kratom's a problem.
You go look up, tell me how many people died from kratom. Mm-hmm. But that's the one we're going to focus on. Now, of course, there is no big kratom to have lobbyists to come and write checks, I think is probably part of it. But this is what I mean when I say misplaced priorities. Tobacco, we can put out warnings, we can do all these fun things to make sure we tell everybody it's bad, but kratom, we just can't do that at all. Kind of like the whole disposable vape thing. For the children. We've got to protect the children.
Well, I mean, that, and I'll say this, I'm all about protecting the children too, but I think you could also parent better at times,
That's the entire problem.
Your kids don't need to be going into gas stations and buying all this junk and unattended at 16 and stuff. I mean, know where your kids are, they shouldn't be out getting into that stuff. So I'm not, pointing finger at every parent, but sometimes it just, let's do a little bit more at the house and ask a little less of our government.
Well, that's the problem, though. It's when I say misplaced priorities, that covers a lot of ground. That phrase does a lot of work here, because you go to the convenience store, you want to buy some alcohol, you have to show your ID. Mm-hmm. You want to buy a tobacco product, you have to show your ID. But that process wasn't good enough for vapes. No, we just got to get rid of those completely. That doesn't make any sense. If that process is good for one thing that's dangerous to kids, it's good for all things. Mm-hmm. If not, we need to change the way we're looking at the other stuff, right? You would think. But it doesn't work that way. It never has. And I think it's unstated because a lot of people don't think this deeply into it. It's a little tough to process and wrap your brain around at times. I think a lot of the problems that the general public has with legislative action, again, I'm talking municipal, county, state, federal, all of it. Not picking on just one group here. Are these disparities? There seems to be an inherent lack of fairness and good judgment being used when we do these things.
Common sense, right? I mean, I'm a big Schopenhauer fan, reading about and studying ignorance versus intelligence, right? It's very difficult for ignorant people to have a conversation with intelligent people. And it's impossible for intelligent folks to relate to ignorant folks. So that's the biggest thing I think in the world we have to figure out today is who are you dealing with? Are you dealing with somebody that is completely in their little echo chamber and that's all they want to hear? Yes. In other words, they're very limited in their intelligence and they're comfortable with that little world and that's it, never being challenged. Or you one on the other side where you go, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's have a debate. Let's have an intelligent, logical, thoughtful response, hopefully coming from you. Because those two don't jive up very well. It's like oil and water.
Yes. And that is the state of things in America today in general. If you ask me, we have a really bad problem with consistency.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, and I think that
to me is one of our biggest problems we have.
You started this with the inconsistencies. Well, we have teachers over here that are extremely important to the future of this state. We mentioned earlier the H-1B program that is importing workers to do jobs we should be able to do here. We can't educate 500,000 people in 30 years to do the work that we're importing people to do. So, but no. No. Let's give a tax break to people receiving NIL. And I'm not saying that's a big, windfall of profit for the state, but what does that signal those that are actually doing work here every day, educating kids that are using their own funds in many cases to have the right stuff in the classroom so they can teach and so their kids can learn?
Well, misplaced priorities also is a very useful phrase here, because the whole thing with the NIL tax exemption is because other states around us have that, and we want to compete for the best athletes.
I understand,
well, all the other states around us have school choice. All the other states around us have a higher salary for teachers. If we want to go down this road, and that's our reason for doing things, we have to apply that reason everywhere it should be applied, everywhere it could be applied, or you're just making excuses for doing what you wanted to do.
Well, that and you're skipping steps. And that's one of the things. I know, look, we had a conversation that happened apparently in Leake County during the week where both two Leake County schools met and they were proposing consolidation. That meeting didn't go very well. Yeah. I mean, it's funny how no one really wants to consolidate their schools. Nobody wants to consolidate a district, but yet we have a teacher shortage. We have a teacher pay problem. We have lots of issues, but it seems to me that would be one place we could start, and as well, school choice and these things that all the other states around us done. It seems like we would be bypassing very important steps when you go, okay, well, let's compete with them on this NIL stuff. Hey, I get it. I know you got to compete in sports and all that, but I don't. What do you think? Am I missing something here?
No, to me, passing something to exempt NIL athletes, recipients of money for their athletic career, exempting them from paying tax, but refusing to keep teacher pay up to date, tells me where we're focused in the state. It's not on education. It's on athletics.
Well, and one great point before we go to the break, one of our listeners, Against the Grain, they don't want new teachers, they want less, because then you can put artificial intelligence in the classroom.
Problem is, the way that's going to functionally work, you get less teachers, you get larger class sizes, and the quality of education drops into the basement.
Yes,
that's
sir.
the problem with that. I get what you're saying. I'm a big AI proponent myself, but let's be realistic about how that would play out. I'll let you go answer the angry calls, and we'll continue here on Mornings.
From the Venable Glass.
What is it? What's going on?
Mornings with Richard Cross.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Now that I'm starting to learn, I feel I'm growing old, 'cause yesterday's got nothing for me. Oh, pictures that I'll always see. Time just fades the pages in my book of memories. Prayers in my pocket and no hand in destiny. I keep on moving along with no time to plant my feet. 'Cause yesterday's got nothing for me. Oh, pictures that I'll always see. Some things could be better if we don't just let them be.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi.
I'm just glad you let him hit the ooh.
Oh, I had to.
He's the best ooh man in the business.
And part of the problem is with the bumper music, sometimes I forget I'm supposed to talk because you play something really good, and I'm just sitting here lost in my own head, jamming away, and then it hits me, and I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, we're doing a show.
We got a show to perform here.
I'm not at home, because that's the funny thing. On my home computer, I'm sorry, I'm old school. I have the same exact make and model of headphones at home.
Yeah, you got it. You're still running the old Gateway, right?
Oh yeah, well hey, when it's good, it's good.
Hey, when it works, where I think it's a tank, man, you could fire off a scud at it and it wouldn't hurt it.
But as a result, when I have these very familiar feeling headphones on my head listening to music, that's what I do at home all the time. Yeah. So here I just kind of forget sometimes.
Well, that was a homage to Miss Christy Nome. I know yesterday was not her best day, but look forward, hon. You got a new job. What is it? The Secretary of the Americas or something.
Secretary of the American Shield.
Yeah.
The director of the American Shield. If you've never heard of that before, that's because until she was appointed to head it, it didn't exist. They made that up. President Trump made up a position for her to try to save a little face. But
what do you take from that? I mean, I have some theories here, and that obviously they want the SAVE Act passed. Maybe this was the sacrificial lamb after the two protesters were killed, and obviously she's had some goings on behind the scenes in a relationship, and as well the $220 million spent on advertising that Trump said I didn't sign off on that.
Well, the problem comes from John Kennedy from Louisiana.
Yeah.
Love that guy so much.
The greatest one-liner of all time.
Yes. He's the one that was grilling her and grilled her about that, and asked her specifically during the hearing if President Trump was aware of that $220 million ad buy before she did it. She said, oh, yes, definitely. Yes, we talked. Yes, he was aware of this. John Kennedy said as soon as the hearing was over, his phone rang. He looked down. It was President Trump saying, no, I didn't know anything about that.
I mean, can you imagine $220 million, $250 million spent on advertising where she's on a horse riding around the West and looking all, formal and tough, I guess. I mean, like, what was the point of $220 million blown on ads so you can deport people? How does that work?
That was basically the final straw.
Yeah.
Now we have Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, who is going to be taking it on. He is the official appointee. They've still got to confirm him, obviously, but the word is that he is going to be an easy sell to the Senate. This is not going to be a big deal. He'll get approved. I don't know if you remember this. Number one, he has a very memorable name, Mark Wayne. There's no space. It's all one word, Mark Wayne.
I've seen
Mullen.
that 3 times in the last couple of years and never saw that name in my whole life, but I've seen it several times lately. So,
well, if you don't remember this was a couple of years ago, actually. I think it was 2023. He was in a congressional hearing with the head of the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And O'Brien had been making some comments about him and made a crack about, we can settle this like men. You name the time, you name the place, and Mark Wayne Mullen, sitting there doing the questioning, said, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to stand your butt up, we'll settle this right now. Sean O'Brien said, okay, fine, get your butt up. That's an exact quote. Mark Wayne Mullen then stood up and started taking his wedding ring off, because you want to take your rings off before you hit somebody upside the head. Yeah. And then, of all people, Bernie Sanders, who was running that hearing, had to jump in and remind Mark Wayne Mullen, said, you're a senator, sit down.
With the spackle, the spackle was flying, and
Well, the fun fact about that, Mark Wayne Mullen, before he got really big in politics, was a mixed martial arts fighter. That's how he made a living. Big guy. I mean, you can tell he's well built.
How big old boy are you?
Apparently, he and Sean O'Brien made up after that. Said they were at some event. Mullen said that O'Brien came up to him and said, Senator, I got to tell you something. Of all the times for me to not read someone's bio before I get into something with them, that was the wrong time. I realize that now.
Yeah.
And he just kind of laughed. And O'Brien came out yesterday and applauded Mullen being appointed, being nominated for the position of Homeland Security. And his exact words, O'Brien's, were that, hey, we're going to have somebody now in that position that's willing to get up off his butt and stand up for what he believes in.
Well, the other side of that, too, is the guy that obviously didn't read the bio, O'Brien. He must like picking on people that he thinks whose butt he can whoop. But, hey, by the way, if you actually could beat me up, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. What kind of guy is that?
Yeah.
That's a sissy.
Well, it's the classic move of, hey, I'm upset. Let you and him fight.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of like the old white dudes at the pool at Destin after they've had a few too many pina coladas. And then they start belly flopping against each other. One of them may have had some kind of ability. The other usually doesn't. You see those replays on Steve Inman's commentary, which I love. But yeah, there's too much of that,
Now, we move right into, you mentioned this about the SAVE Act. Have you heard what's going on and the Texas connection with the SAVE Act?
Oh, bring it on, man.
Oh, man, this is a beaut. So, they've got a runoff now for Senate in Texas between John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, the Attorney General from Texas. Well, John Thune is a big fan of Cornyn. He wants him. He's endorsed him. That's who he wants. Paxton's leading in the polls, though. They don't like him being there. You notice President Trump has not endorsed anyone in that race, which is interesting. Ken Paxton yesterday, hold on, I've got it somewhere here. Here it is. Here's his tweet from yesterday. Ken Paxton. The Save America Act is the most important bill the U.S. Senate could ever pass, and I'm committed to helping President Trump get it done. I would consider dropping out of this race if Senate leadership agrees to lift the filibuster and passes the Save America Act, which would be giving John Thune what he wants, would be giving the American people what they want. This is such a win-win suggestion from Ken Paxton. Politically, this was a brilliant move. It's a no-lose move for him. Because if it doesn't work, he is on the record as trying.
Right.
He's on the record as offering to give up a Senate seat that he's leading in the polls for just to get this bill passed, just to get it through.
Wasn't it Trump the other day, maybe Wednesday, stating that after the results on Tuesday that we only need one running, and if I pick one, the other needs to drop it. Get on out of here.
Yes, and he has not yet picked one.
That's right. Yeah, I was kind of going with that. He hadn't made that decision yet, so Cornyn's kind of trying to get in front of the 8 ball, maybe? I don't know.
So,
I mean, not Cornyn, but Paxton, yeah.
Yeah. Cornyn, like I said, John Thune is on the record as saying, I love John Cornyn. He's a great conservative. He's exactly who we need. That's who we need in this office, not Paxton. And now Paxton steps forward and says, that's what you want? Okay, I'll give it to you. But you're going to have to do something for me. It's like a Godfather deal.
Yeah, we'll give you an offer you can't refuse.
Yes. I'm going to give you everything you want on a silver platter as long as you give the American people what they've been screaming for months. Because you mentioned this earlier in the show, the Save America Act is polling at a ridiculously high number.
Yes, it is. And obviously the American people want it, believe in it. Doesn't really matter what color you are, background, culture, socioeconomic background, doesn't matter. Education, people believe that America needs to have fair and reasonable elections where you know who's voting.
The last breakdown I saw, 85% of registered Republicans are in favor of it. 79% of registered Democrats are in favor of it.
And 0% of the Russians and Chinese are in favor of it.
And we can't seem to get it across the board. We tried to ask the Somali immigrants about it, but unfortunately they were having a private cat cook-off, and we couldn't get them to give us a statement at this time. But that was a bizarre thing that happened.
That came out. I love it.
We'll go back there later one day, I'm sure.
Nothing like fricasseed cat.
If the Democrats overwhelmingly want it and the Republicans overwhelmingly want it, what's the problem? Well, Ken Paxton has decided to step forward and be the hero.
From the Seabrook
segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Wake up. Yes, do it. Wake up. Come on. All right.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Wake up.
Just want to make sure I'm on board the same train as you. We're talking politics, so you whip out foolish game.
You got it, brother.
That's perfect.
Wicked game, yeah.
Yeah, wicked game, yeah. Very well done.
I try, baby. I try.
Oh, man. You know, we're talking about all this, and the point I was making, and I want to make sure we make something perfectly clear here. When I was talking about the kratom bans and relating it to tobacco and alcohol and the problems, the deaths that they cause, but we'll just age verify when we sell them, but everything else we have to get rid of. Not saying that there shouldn't be a kratom ban, not saying that something shouldn't have been done, even about the vapes. We just need consistency. And I'm sorry, if you're going to settle for warnings and ID verification for something that killed 5,000 Mississippians last year, well, that's kind of the standard. It's going to be worse than that to get a heavier penalty, you would think, right?
You'd think, yeah.
Well, no, it doesn't work that way. But we have a preponderance of a lack. Can you have a preponderance of a lack? I think you can in this case, of critical thinking skills in America today.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you take emotion and you inject it with more emotion, and you get to that point pretty quickly.
Well, we have weaponized the principles of persuasion to a ridiculous point. Edward Bernays, who also one of the top psychologists, but he also invented propaganda, which kind of sums it all up for you there. Understood that people make decisions based on emotion, and that is very much the truth if you have any kind of marketing or persuasion training. One of the first things you learn is that people make decisions, whether it's a buying decision, whether it's a voting decision, whatever. They make those decisions based on emotion, and then they use logic to justify the decision they've already made. Mm-hmm. That's the process that's going on, and it has really stunted critical thinking. I have an off-the-board example to show you. Last weekend, Saturday, there's a game developer called Woe Industries, W-O-E. Okay. Very well named. They decided they would try something. They went and got an old point-and-click LucasArts adventure game from the 80s, Maniac Mansion, where you go through and you make your choices and you have to solve the puzzles and do all of that. They took players, they gathered up people and set them down in a room with that game and gave them 4 hours to beat it. The average length of time to beat it is about 3.5 hours. So a little bit of wiggle room, but not much. But they failed the challenge if they tried to look up tips, if they grabbed their phone, if they talked to anybody else, if they shared it. They had to figure it out for themselves. This is a game that was marketed at 10-year-olds in the 80s. Very popular. They gathered together. What is the exact number of people? 831 participants. Do you know how many people were able to beat the game from 1987?
5.
2.
2, okay.
2. The game company put out a public a press release afterwards and said a 0.24% pass rate makes this one of the most prestigious and rigorous exams in the world. The SAT, MCAT, and most forklift operator certifications lie prostrate at our feet. 831 people to sit down and complete ostensibly a fun game from 1987 that should take about 3 hours to finish. Only 2 of them were able to do it without somebody holding their hand and telling them what to do.
Wow.
Now, you translate that and you're thinking, Dave, why are you talking about video game tests and things like that? That, to me, is endemic of our problem right now. No one can think for themselves. No one can think through challenges, problems, and issues and reach their own conclusions. They sit around passively and wait for someone to tell them what to think, what to believe, and what to do. And if nobody is there to do that, they can't do anything.
Well, it's amazing where we've come. But, there's this saying that always goes through my head, the illusion of victory. It is the cheapest toy you can give a fool to keep him quiet.
Yeah.
And, it seems we keep ourselves busy all the time. We don't solve things, though. It looks like to me that game right there, if only a few people can handle it, we're good at staying busy. We're not really good at solving the equation, though. And, we can keep ourselves busy with a shiny toy and an illusion of victory like a pewter ring for 10th place. But we've got to get back to where winning and being at the top and striving for that, having that ambition, is the cutting edge that America brings to the table. Not waiting for someone else to do it for you and subbing it out. We've got, it's kind of like my mind on, as we move to 6G, which we will, we're going to have to get to a point where we build this stuff. We can't keep giving the victory to someone else and saying we won.
Yes, exactly. That is what made America great. That's how we built this country, is thinking for yourself, being a rugged, bloody-minded individualist who knows right from wrong and is willing to stand up for what is right and make the arguments to support it. Yeah. Now we wait for somebody else to tell us what we need to think.
We don't like pain, and pain is the only teacher that doesn't lie. That's the thing. We want to avoid the pain of growth. We want to avoid the pain of doing these things ourselves, to actually fixing problems and solving equations. Remember this, content only provokes a response, right? That's the job of content. It's out there. It wants, and its purpose is to provoke something so you consume it. Information actually answers questions, though. Those are the things we need to keep in mind. Don't just consume content. Are you consuming it just to stay the shiny new toy, to keep you not focused on what's really going on? Or are you absorbing information that actually gives you something that answers questions and makes us think a little bit more about where we're going?
And I'll tell you a misdirection there. Everyone wants you to believe that the only thing you should consume is nonfiction and things that deal with weighty matters. No, the fiction you consume teaches you more than the nonfiction.
Yeah, George Orwell was pretty good at it.
Because it slips in past your conscious mind and embeds itself in your subconscious, and you can't argue with a subconscious feeling or belief. It's beyond the reach of the logic centers in your brain.
Yeah. Exactly. It's fun. We always like applause, and it's easy to be ruled by the applause of your own court. Sometimes you got to step back and not really, believe everything, and not ever, don't get too absorbed with everybody patting you on the back and how great a job you're doing and the applause of those around you.
The quote you gave a little while ago, a couple of minutes ago, about, victory, a trophy is the easiest way to distract a fool. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go a little bit further. The best way to stunt the growth and ability of any populace is to make them think they're already winning.
Yeah,
because
there you go.
Once you have achieved, we have terms for that. You've peaked.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've peaked, it's all over. It's all downhill from here. So if you just convince them we've peaked now, what are we striving for? Well, that's the way a lot of people's minds work.
I agree. And like I said, the victory, it's supposed to be difficult to get, but you earn it. You earn it. And when you get there, it means so much more when you've done it. And I think that's again, you're hammering through a lot of things in the Mississippi legislature. You're hammering through a lot of things in the U.S. legislature. These are processes that are supposed to be cumbersome, so not everything gets passed. But at the end of the day, when the American people represent 70, 80%, maybe more of a certain issue, and your Congress is not listening to you, your Congress is not acting in that way, whether here or there, there's something wrong there, because you, me, Dave, we are the people that elected those folks. We're the boss. It's not the other way around.
Yes.
And so we got to get back to where there is consequences, for legislators that do not listen to the people and the constituents they represent. And quit putting shiny toys out there to keep everybody, the illusion of some victory.
It's a very easy thing to lead when you're only having to lead a handful of people, because those people are leading everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very simple at that point. That cuts the difficulty down immensely. I'm sorry, the SAVE Act is a great example. When you have 80% of voting age Americans who are in favor of something, that's a slam dunk easy win.
Should be, right.
But it's not.
And where's the disengagement coming from? I mean, that's a billion-dollar question, I suppose. But how are we gotten to this point?
Greed, enlightened self-interest, and a complete disregard for what we're supposed to be doing, which describes most of America right now, if you ask me. Now you got me in my disgruntled old man mood. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Oh, I'm in. Yeah, I love it.
See, what you don't realize is when we're not on the air, he chuckles continuously. It's nonstop.
I love it.
It's just the encouragement I don't need.
This is too much fun.
Final segment of this hour of mornings on the way next on Super Talk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass.
In the car, at home, or at work, it's always free to listen to Super Talk Mississippi and Mornings with Richard Cross.
On Super Talk Mississippi, Dave Hughes here, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net, where you go to find out more. I want to point out something you probably haven't noticed. I've noticed ABC News doing this, and other news outlets are doing this, and I'm going to give a little peek into why. The leader of Iran that we killed, what was his name, Lance?
Which one?
The very first one, the one we killed a week ago.
Ali Khamenei.
Khamenei. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden now that's pronounced Hamani.
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 Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm not in Iran, and I don't speak Farsi, Arabic, or any of the versions, so I'm going to say it how I want to.
Well, here's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
There's a reason behind this. Yeah. There's a reason for doing that. We have seen this happen over and over, that all of a sudden something is pronounced different than we ever learned. Looking at you, Uranus. We have had so many examples of this. In the case of the Uranus one, not so much. In other ones, especially when it comes to news and events and politics, where you have sides arguing with each other, there is a very real reason for that. Which word will bring about an emotional response more easily? Hitler or Hitler? If you change the way you say the word in a spoken word report, you manipulate the emotional gravity of the name. Khamenei has a long history behind it. Everybody in America knows about the previous Khamenei, the Khamenei that was killed a week ago, the Khamenei they're talking about putting in. Everybody is familiar with that name. They have an association with that name, and it's not good.
Yeah.
But if all of a sudden we're not talking about killing Khomeini, the bad guy, no, Khamenei. Well, all of a sudden there. What? We just killed some guy? This is wrong. We shouldn't be killing other countries' leaders. That's a very small way to try to influence people's feelings, like we were talking about a news story. Well, by changing the way you pronounce the word. It can be that simple.
That's a good point. And two, we're not throwing a big fit over getting rid of the Lord of the Roosters, down there in Mexico, El Mencho. I mean, he got buried in a solid gold casket and all this stuff. But that's okay. He was a leader of about a great portion of the country. Let's be realistic here. He was a leader, Mr. El Mencho. I got that kick, the Lord of the Roosters, buried in a solid gold casket. I'm wondering if he's like a big believer in Egypt or something. Like if he thinks that's going to be his boat as he crosses the river Styx, and he's going to arrive, and they're like, "This dude was a baller." What do you think Khomeini or Khomeini was, buried in? You know, they had his funeral.
I'm going to assume multiple Tupperware containers. I mean,
looks like spaghetti from yesterday.
He didn't just get sort of killed when we attacked. It was not a near thing. They delayed the funeral for 4 days to find all of him, I think. It was that kind of deal.
That's curry lasagna, maybe. I don't know.
So, it's interesting as I pick up on these things as we go through. If you've noticed that, because I'm sorry, my entire life I have heard about the Ayatollah Khomeini, because before the one that was killed at the beginning of the week, the previous ruler was the Ayatollah Khomeini, just had a different first name.
Well, you got Muqtada, the son,
Yes.
I was my prediction out of the gate before they even got rid of Khomeini. I said, well, the son, Muqtada, I did a lot of digging on him and others. I didn't see a Rafi getting the job, but I think Muqtada basically just put on a disguise, and it's kind of like the good, the bad, the ugly. Everybody was looking at each other like, the music's playing like, who's next? It's not me. That's you. That's me. No. So, yeah, now they've, you've gotten rid of quite a few.
Talking about digging, I don't know if you saw this little fact. Muqtada Khomeini apparently has undergone intensive treatments to treat his impotence.
Oh, yeah.
So he's cranky.
Yeah, he's in a bad mood. Well, he studied under a Rafi at Com, and basically you don't want any of those dudes that studied at Com to be, in charge of that country. That's the problem you have, is the fundamentalist extremism that is taught in a specific place. Here in our country, we say, well, the education colleges are too liberal professors and all that. In Iran, they're all in one place, basically. Yeah. And if you want to be encoded and indoctrinated into that belief system, that's where you're going to get it.
Coming up, we've got Fox News and SuperTalk Mississippi News. And next hour, you got your insurance for earthquake, those premiums paid up? I hope so. We had an event yesterday. We're going to talk about that with Associate Professor in Geology at Ole Miss. Ron Counts is going to join us when we return, and we're going to talk shaking, rattling, and rolling, not necessarily in that order, when we continue here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Social during the show at SuperTalk Mississippi on Facebook. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Welcome back, hour number 3 of Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here, as I am on Fridays, and we are joined now by someone. I tasked Alex yesterday. We talk about Alex Payton on a regular basis because she does incredible work, and we're trying to get somebody in to talk about earthquakes. Because we had the big one just to the southwest of Shreveport, Louisiana yesterday, 4.9. That's, you feel that one when it gets to that size. And she said, oh, I've got some geology contacts. Let me read. Who has geology contacts?
Alex.
Glenn?
Yeah, Alex.
Alex,
Thank
that's
goodness.
Who. It doesn't matter what you bring up. She knows somebody. And in this particular case, that somebody is an associate professor of geology and geological engineering and the associate director of the Mississippi Mineral Research Institute at Ole Miss, Mr. Ron Counts. Ron, how you doing this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us this morning. Yesterday, the earthquake that they had up in the northwest portion of Louisiana, initially measured a 4.4. They revised it later to a 4.9. That always happens. The Richter scale number changes on earthquakes after they happen for a while. So I'm going to lob you an easy one right across the plate to start. Why does that change? Why does that happen after an earthquake hits?
Well, as they get more data from additional seismic stations, they can do better processing of the arrival times of the P waves and the S waves, which are different waves created by an earthquake. And then they can revise, they have more data, so they can get a better estimate of the size of the earthquake.
Now, in terms of size of earthquake, 4.9, like I said, if you're in the area of a 4.9, you know an earthquake happened. That's big enough to where there's some shaking, you feel some things happening there, right?
Yeah, that's definitely what we would consider a moderate earthquake.
Yeah, and I've actually experienced a 4.9 myself. I know what it's like. I described it as, and been describing it that way for a couple of years, as it felt like the Incredible Hulk punched the building. That it sounded like it and felt like it when it hit. It was short, it was sharp, but it did have an effect. But it got me to thinking as I was watching that, and they have now come out and they went back and went through the data and found there were a couple of smaller precursor earthquakes before the main earthquake happened. But that brought my mind right back to something we haven't talked about in a while, and that's the New Madrid fault, which could have a definite impact on Mississippi if it fires up again. Now, let's talk about that. Tell me what you know about the New Madrid.
Oh, quite a bit. So the New Madrid seismic zone, that's what it's called. It's the New Madrid seismic zone, is not one fault. It is a whole series of faults. And of course, the reason it's famous is in the winter of 1811 and 1812, there were three very large earthquakes that we didn't have instruments to record, but based upon damage and eyewitness accounts, they originally were estimated to be in the low 8s, which are the largest earthquakes in the lower 48 United States that have ever happened. But additional analysis, they think they're in the high 7s, which is still very large, especially for the middle of the United States, which is not near what we would call a tectonic plate boundary where most earthquakes happen. So the New Madrid seismic zone is part of an ancient continental rift zone. It's called the Reelfoot Rift. It's where back during the formation of a paleocontinent called Rodinia, a supercontinent. This is 750 million years ago. It started to break apart, and it started to open up along the Mississippi embayment. That's why the Mississippi River's there. It's a zone of weakness, and there are faults there from that. And right now, the United States is under compression. It's being squeezed from the east and the west, and periodically those faults fail and create these large earthquakes.
Well, and I do know this, that for years now, for decades, whether it be MEMA, other state agencies, every year or two, they get together and figure out what we're going to do if that thing goes off again. And the common wisdom I've always heard is that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Sooner or later, we'll have another earthquake of some size that's going to impact Mississippi from the New Madrid fault zone. Would you agree with that?
Eventually, yes. It's going to be a very large disaster. Billions of dollars of infrastructure. You got to realize this is an area in the Mississippi River Valley that has sands and gravels that are not strong building foundations. So what happens when you shake the ground? It's a phenomenon called liquefaction. It's a seismic ground failure. And so after a large earthquake like that, every bridge, every culvert, every roadway that goes over some kind of drainage might have a failure problem. So transportation is going to be a problem for a while till everything's inspected. And that's why the USGS says you should have at least, 3 days of supplies, emergency supplies, in case there's an earthquake like that. But more realistically, you should have several weeks because stores won't be open. There might not be electricity. Power lines might be down. Even if there is electricity, you might not be able to get places if bridges are collapsed. That'll be a bad disaster when that happens.
Having said that, let's clarify one thing right now, because I am not a fan of fear-mongering on any subject like this. If you're in Biloxi and Gulfport, you're pretty well in the clear on this. It's not going to really have a major impact down there when and if something like this happens. What areas of the state do you think could potentially be impacted by something like this?
The epicentral region is what they call it, the area of maximum shaking. It's the USGS, every 4 or 5 years, they release a seismic hazard model for the United States, and they estimate areas of damage for an earthquake of a given size, and they estimate the probability of what that earthquake might be. And it ranges from central Indiana down into central Mississippi would be shaking. Of course, it depends upon where in the zone the earthquake happened as to the extent of the damage. Closer you are to the hypocenter, the more damage you'll have.
I had heard this for years. Is it out of the realm of possibility that we could see actual structural damage as far south as, say, Jackson, if this thing goes off, depending on where the epicenter is?
Yeah, it is possible. The eastern United States has very old, ancient crust, and it's got a lot of pre-existing faults in it, and that's why actually the USGS guidance for the eastern United States says that you can expect anywhere in the eastern United States to get a moderate earthquake of between 4 and 5. That's just possible because of the old crust with a lot of faults in it. And the fact that it's old, cold, dense crust means that seismic waves from earthquakes travel much greater distances than they do, say, in the western United States, where that crust is younger and warmer. So the seismic, it's more ductile. The waves don't travel as far. So yeah, it's possible a large earthquake could be felt as far as Jackson. They claimed during the 1811 earthquake that it rang church bells on the East Coast from those initial shocks.
Well, if you're in the upper 7s, low 8s territory, yeah, half the country would feel that to some extent or another. No damage, but they would know something had happened. Having said that, you're talking about a moderate earthquake there, upper 4s up through the 5s on the Richter scale. What would we be looking at from that damage-wise? That wouldn't be much of a damage event for one that size, would it?
Not necessarily. The earthquake that damaged Washington, D.C. in 2011, that was the Monroe, Virginia earthquake. It was a 5.3 magnitude. And one of the main reasons that occur is when you have fixed sediments like unconsolidated sand and gravel, you can get a phenomenon also called amplification of shaking, where the seismic waves get amplified so that they shake the ground stronger than the earthquake that produced them. That can happen. But typically a magnitude 4 to 5 might be a few bricks off of chimneys, cracks in old brick buildings, unreinforced masonry, things like that, but not too much damage. I'm not aware of any damage from this earthquake. I didn't see any reported damage as of yesterday afternoon.
It's just enough to get your attention and get you to thinking about this, which is why we're talking to you this morning, because that's exactly where it led my mind. Sure. Because this is something that we need to prepare for, even if it's just as simple as maybe get your foundation inspected, because it could definitely have an impact on something like that. Can you stick around through the break? We're up against a break.
Sure.
Fantastic. Ron Counts, geologist extraordinaire. Put that on your business card. We're going to add that to your list of titles there. From Ole Miss, we will continue talking to him about a potential disaster one day down the road. You know, fun stuff. We'll continue with that conversation when we come back here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venom.
You're there, cool.
Weather, sports, all right here, all morning long. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
back. Super Talk, Mississippi. Mornings, Dave Hughes here, and Ron Counts from Ole Miss. He is big in the geology world. I don't care if it's true, Ron. We're just going to say it because to me, you're big in the geology world. We're talking about the New Madrid fault. It's been a couple of 100 years, but it's caused problems for Mississippi. It could one day again. And despite what you might think, this is not very far-reaching of a theory because, like I said, MEMA and other state agencies have regular meetings where they plan what they're going to do if that fault goes off. This is not pie in the sky talking here, but I want to swap tacks for just a second here. That 4.9 yesterday in Louisiana. Is that a fault line, and was this just a normal run-of-the-mill, it happens sometimes earthquake? Was there something that you think may have caused it or helped it? What's your opinion?
So, yes, there are some pre-existing structural lineaments and faults there. It's called the Red River structural zone, I guess you could call it. It's not really a formal fault, but there are a lot of basement faults there. And so you think about the Earth's surface, the entire surface of the Earth is floating on a more liquid lava, or what we call magma mantle. It's the mantle. And when you, and where the oceans are, the crust is denser, so it rides lower. So think of an iceberg. You add mass to an iceberg, it will sink a little. So right now what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico, of course, the Mississippi River and all the other rivers on the Gulf Coast are putting sediment out into the Gulf. They're loading it with more mass and more weight. And what has happened, there's a series of basement, what we call crystalline basement faults along the Gulf Coast from what we call sediment loading. As we put more sediment out there, every once in a while it sinks a little. And that's probably what happened here. There is a series of faults oriented that way. The moment tensor for this earthquake is something we call extension. There are two main forces that cause earthquakes. It's compression where they go together and extension where they pull apart. The moment tensor suggested this earthquake was from pulling apart. It's what we call a normal fault. And it was purely almost down movement. Pure dip slip is what we call it. And yeah, that's just a normal run-of-the-mill fault.
Now,
earthquake.
Having said that, and this is what I'm leading into, this is the reason I started this line of discussion. As soon as this happened yesterday, and of course it was all over social media, and the armchair experts were out in force, there were so many people that were quick to rush forward and go, well, yeah, and this is going to keep happening as long as we keep fracking. This is a fracking problem. This was caused by fracking. I saw at least a couple of dozen before I just stopped looking at social media for a while to let it die down. Let's get your thoughts on this. Fracking have anything to do with that earthquake yesterday?
Of course it's possible, but the depth, the hypocenter of this earthquake was 11 kilometers, and they are not tracking at 11 kilometers in this area, I do not believe. And so the other possibility, when they say fracking, it's injection of salt water that is a byproduct of oil production. And they're injecting that into the Haynesville Shale, I think, in that area, which is only 4 to 6 kilometers deep. So it is possible that added pressure could have caused this earthquake. But again, usually those earthquakes are not quite this large. They're usually under 4, around 4. So this is on the higher end of a moderate earthquake. And again, USGS expects that anywhere in the United States, the eastern United States, can experience a 4 to 5 earthquake. That's a normal occurrence, or it can be as usual given the nature of the crust and the age.
Well, and to me, this is telling to me. We've had earthquakes, like you said, the big one on the New Madrid that famously made the Mississippi River run backwards for a while because it opened up a big gully and the water rushed up to fill it. That was in 1811. That was way back. We have had earthquakes throughout history. Has there been an increase in the incidence of earthquakes since fracking began, a noticeable uptick in the rate?
Of the small ones, yeah, it seems like there are more of these really small earthquakes. But, you know, you've got to go back to perspective and scale. For us humans, that New Madrid earthquake 220 years ago was a long time ago. But on the geologic timescale, earthquakes happen all the time. You think of them like hurricanes. Every season we have multiple hurricanes. Same thing with big earthquakes. They happen all the time, but just our perspective of time isn't broad enough to experience them and appreciate them. And the other thing is when we have old earthquakes, paleo earthquakes that happened in the past, we don't always see evidence of those. They're underground. They don't cause deformation at the surface, and they just shake the ground, and then there's no evidence. If you weren't there to record it or experience it, you didn't know it happened. So my opinion on this is the paleoseismic history of North America has many more earthquakes than we're aware of, especially in the recent past before we started recording them.
Well, especially when you realize the definition of an earthquake. Basically, any size timber can be classified as an earthquake, even if no one on planet Earth is aware it happened, unless they have a seismograph. And I think that kind of lends to it. Are we in a position, thanks to technology, science, and research, and the work that you and others in your field do, are we more aware of smaller earthquakes than we were, say, 100 years ago, 50 years ago?
Oh, absolutely. The New Madrid area is experiencing earthquakes weekly that we don't even feel. Nobody knows about them. The only reason we know it is because we have the instruments that can detect shaking of that size, that small size.
Well, and that goes back to what I was saying with the one in Shreveport yesterday. The Shreveport area, I should say, was about 7 miles southwest of Shreveport. Before that, in the hour before that 4.9, they had a couple in the twos, like a 2.2 and a 2.4. Nobody knew those existed. Nobody knew they happened until they went back and they checked the data and crunched the numbers and said, oh, this was the third one yesterday morning. And we had that happen all the time. We see reports sometimes here in Mississippi that there was an earthquake in such and such a spot, and then they give the Richter scale, and it's like a 2.8. You don't even know that happens, do you?
Nope, and you don't. And a good analogy is, when a fault ruptures, it's not a clean, smooth break. There are small irregularities on the whole. And it's a plane, right? It's not just a line. We call them fault lines on the surface, but they're actually planes. And so imagine a good analogy for an earthquake is if you took a half-inch piece of 4x8 plywood and you started to bend it, and you would hear small snapping and cracking before the whole thing broke. And that's kind of what those little foreshocks were. That fault was nearing the failure point, and just small parts of it started to break before the whole thing went.
One other thing I wanted to clarify that I think some people don't understand, it's not a smooth progression on the Richter scale. A 2.3 is not 0.1 bigger than a 2.2. It's more of a logarithmic progression up that scale, isn't it?
Yes, it's about 30 times more.
So every 0.1 that you go up, it's about 30 times stronger than the last number on that list, right?
Correct, yes.
And, of course, then you get into the multiplicative properties. I'm using big words all of a sudden. You're bringing this out in me, Ron. It's your fault. I blame you. But, you take 30 times 1 and you've got 30. You take 30 times 5 and you've got some attention going on. So the difference between a 4.9 and a 5.0 is a lot bigger than the difference of a 2.0 to a 2.1, isn't it?
Well, the amount of energy is, but the scale of the change is. So the better way to think of it is when you go from a 4 to a 5, that is a 300 times bigger change. Is that right? Yeah, 300.
Well, yeah, that makes me feel better. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate that. That's nothing to worry about whatsoever. Now I'm making Ron do math. I am being so cruel as a host today.
It's early, yeah.
I just wanted to give some baseline understanding about how this works, because I see a lot of people confused, because it is, if you haven't studied it, kind of a confusing topic. Why did they set the Richter scale up that way, by the way? To where it's a large increase from every decimal point to the next decimal point instead of just a smooth transition. Was there a reason that decision was made to set the Richter scale up like that?
Was just the amount of energy released makes it easier to plot it and understand it and graph it.
Fantastic. Well, Ron, we are up against the break and we are out of time. I could keep talking to you. I think it would probably only interest you and I, but I could keep talking to you for a while. But we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and shed a little light on this. We're going to have an earthquake this weekend in Mississippi?
Possible, but probably not.
There we go. That's the answer everybody needs at the moment. Ron Counts, geologist with Ole Miss. We appreciate it, and we may check back with you again if things start shaking, okay?
From the Zebra.
As the sun rises, he has all the news you need. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, supertalk.fm, and the SuperTalk app.
I chance to meet some old friends on the street. They wonder, how does a man get to be this way? I've always got a smiling face, anytime and any place. And every time they ask me why, I just smile and say, you've got to kiss an angel good morning.
Gotta love it. Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net for more information. I want to remind you, we've talked a lot of politics this morning. Primary elections coming up on Tuesday. Super Talk Mississippi News going to have the latest results throughout the night on the air and on the website. Also on the SuperTalk app, and there are no paywalls like some jerks out there that make you pay for information that should be free. That'll be Tuesday night. Anywhere you consume your SuperTalk content, you'll be able to get the election results on Tuesday night.
And go vote.
That would help.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
We need you to vote, folks.
Just walk in, show your ID, cast your ballot, move on with life. Let's show everybody how it's done. We've got with us now, it's a big weekend for the Grammy Museum, and we have the executive director of the Grammy Museum, the one, the only, the myth, the legend, Emily Havens. You got to live up to that intro now. Emily, how you doing this morning?
I don't know that I can, but I'm so excited to be with you this morning. I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, Grammy Museum has been just knocking it out of the park for a while. And this weekend, though, is especially important because this is the 10th anniversary of the Grammy Museum here in Mississippi.
It's so hard to believe. I was telling someone the other day, it feels like it's been forever, and it feels like it was just yesterday. It has been an incredible 10 years here at the museum, and we recently and we'll debut a 10-year film tomorrow, but just watching it with you just have so much pride looking at all the things we've accomplished, all the kids' lives that have been changed and the opportunities that they've had over the last 10 years. One of the really cool things that we're doing this morning is we've got an incredible education program lined up with the Recording Academy here. And we've invited the kids that were, so 10 years ago, we had a huge art kind of a collaboration contest in all the schools, and kids that did an art project to celebrate Mississippi's legacy being the birthplace of America's music. A lot of entries were turned in. The winning class was a second grade class from Hayes Cooper Elementary in Marigold, Mississippi. They were the first kids that went through the door that morning 10 years ago. Well, that class this year is coming back for an education program as seniors in high school. Some of those kids have been in our after school programs, our summer camps. Some of them are in our youth leadership council here. So to kind of watch them come back today as they're days and weeks away from graduating high school and see the impact this museum has had in their lives. It's just going to be really cool, really great way to kick off our weekend. Our mission is education, and it's been our North Star for the last 10 years.
Well, and that's something I want to make sure we highlight properly, because you hear Grammy Museum. The word museum is almost kind of misleading in a way, because you think it's a big building with a bunch of exhibits and that's it, because that's what everyone is familiar with when it comes to museums for their top of mind awareness. And you have that, but the Grammy Museum in Mississippi is a lot more than that, and it's a lot more active in the community, isn't it?
It is, and certainly that's how I grew up, and it's incredible. The kids that are growing up today, they already know a museum is so much more. It's about storytelling and passing on history and learning and educating, and so I'm glad to be a part of that. And our museum is really a community place. We do free exercise classes, free chair yoga for the seniors in our community, free ballroom dancing classes, programming that is fun and engaging and really gives kids an opportunity, gives adults an opportunity. And we have really, in this past year, we've started a lot of adult education classes. I just mentioned the senior chair yoga, which is, I smile because every Tuesday and Thursday morning, there's 60 plus women here all over the community, all walks of life. There's a diverse group of ladies that come together to exercise and improve their quality of life here. But we also we just started this year, free adult guitar lessons. And so you're never too old to learn either a hobby or maybe a career or just something you've always wanted to do with your life and haven't been able to have maybe the money or the resources to have, guitar classes. And so on Mondays, we have kids here. Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, we have adults here. And it's just a lot of fun being able to be a part of that.
Well, and that to me, I love that with the guitar lessons you've got coming up, because you ask people. I talk to a lot of people, Emily. That may not surprise you at all, but I have had a lot of conversations in my life with what I do. Probably the most common regret anyone has is that they didn't learn how to play a musical instrument, something, guitar, piano, what. Nobody ever mentions the bassoon, but the big instruments, yeah, they wish they had taken the time to learn how to play one of those, and that's a great opportunity for them to take advantage of with the Grammy Museum, is to come and learn how to express themselves musically, because that could be an important part of quality of life too. It's no chair yoga, but still, it's I think an important building brick, isn't it?
It is, and we don't just teach guitar lessons. We started with that. Now we teach free drumming lessons, free piano lessons, and free voice lessons. And all of the kids, the piano, the drum, and the guitar get to take that instrument home with them. And so when you think about that being the voice lessons get to take theirs home with them too. I giggle because the voice lessons are next door to my office. And the other day they asked for extra microphones. I'm like, I think we're good on voice today. But anyway, we're hoping to add to their life, and maybe one day they'll win a Grammy or a country music award or American Music Award. But mostly we're hoping that they take that and it becomes a hobby or a career or just a best friend, where you take that guitar in your bedroom and you write a song about how your day was or how your year is going or what your goals are. And it's just so powerful to be able to do that. And I think that's probably at the root of things, what we really want to give kids that opportunity. And I was just speaking with someone yesterday, and they said, when I told my parents I wanted to be in music, they never squashed my dreams. Whether they didn't know if I would end up being in music or not. And we don't want to squash dreams. We want those dreams to grow and be inspired here at the Grammy Museum, because maybe they won't be a musician, but maybe because we didn't squash their dreams, we added to them and we helped them achieve them, that maybe they will achieve their dreams, whatever they end up doing one day in their life. And we're hoping just to be a small part of that.
Well, it's anniversary weekend. Very quickly here, run through your events. What do you have going on this weekend?
We at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, we will have a ceremony at of course, the entire community is invited. We've got some great speakers, and more importantly, we have kid performances. Some of these kids that were running around our front lawn 10 years ago are now our summer campers in our after-school programs, and they will be performing 2 songs during that special ceremony. That will be from 11 to 12, and then we will kick off an incredible lineup of music at 12 o'clock, completely free for the community. We've got rain plans, so please come out. But we've got Grammy Award winner Cedric Burnside, Southern Avenue, Carla Thomas, Bobby Rush, Boo Mitchell. We have got a lineup that is going to entertain anyone of all ages at the museum tomorrow, completely free. We want to do this for the community because the community has done so much for this museum. And when I say community, I mean the entire state, the entire region. We are so fortunate to be where we are 10 years later. So thankful for all of our partners. You guys at SuperTalk, a major partner of us, getting the word out about all the things we're doing here. And we're just thankful, and we're going to celebrate tomorrow.
Well, we really enjoy talking about really cool stuff, so you make it easy for us to come in and talk about this. If someone wants to come to the ceremony, just wants to visit the museum, that's fine. Tell them how to find you, and tell them where to go to find out more information about everything you have going on.
Of course, you can go to our website at GrammyMuseumMS.org or on social media, Grammy Museum MS. And also, admission is free to the museum tomorrow. Great time to come and bring your family. Great new exhibits with the 80s rock exhibit and the new exhibit celebrating the great cousins from Mississippi, the Killer, the Preacher, and the Cowboy. So it's just a wonderful community day, family day. Check out our website, our social media, and come see us tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, it's going to be a blast, and, you've had some great exhibits. When you started up the 80s rock exhibit, I was like, okay, that's it, I'm in. Get in the car, honey. Boy, you hit a home run with that one, let me tell you. 10th anniversary of the Grammy Museum in Mississippi. Big weekend of events this weekend. A lot of fantastic performers lined up for tomorrow. It's going to be a good time for everybody. Emily, keep up the good work, and I'll go ahead and tell you, you lived up to the intro. Good job.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Come see us.
Most definitely. We have one final segment to go on this edition of Mornings. I don't know where this 3 hours has gone, but...
From the Venable Glass Track.
Before you grab your keys, you've got the news that matters. Back to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Welcome back. Mornings presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every single part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you at Community Bank. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. And if you're dreaming of a new home, the mortgage specialists are there to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. I was going to end on an up note, but we have a couple of fresh, brand new data points that have come out this morning. It's jobs report day, Lance.
Oh, yeah.
In January, the U.S. added 130,000 jobs. Mm-hmm. In February, it lost 92,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heck of a swing over a 1 month period.
Yeah.
Went from adding 130 to losing 92. That means we're still technically up on the year so far, but it's not a good sign. Now, when you pack that in and add to it that oil hit $90 a barrel just a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not a surprise with what's going on in Iran. That's expected. I'm going to crawl way out on a shaky, quivering little limb and say we'll hit 100.
Yeah, it's hard to believe what we want at this point. There's always the risk premium involved in there, and that can be, pretty significant. Used oil and traded it a good bit over the years, and you always looked as somebody who's trying to capitalize on this when prices are historically low and tensions start boiling over. You have a pretty good idea that you might get a 10-20% kick there.
Yeah.
And, I did this many times over my career of 16 years. So, but I'll say one data point: I've eaten 2 fried bologna and cheese sandwiches with with the egg on it this week. So just that's where I've been in the data. And one was a gas station. They just added this, blew my mind, and the other was one of my favorite places. So I'm living the good life while spending a fortune on gas to get to the bologna sandwiches, though.
Well, we will have to talk at some point in the near future about the dietary impacts of the price of oil.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that slows everything down. You don't travel as much, and but yeah, I'm not going to allow that to bridge my fried bologna sandwich eating. Not happening. So, and
again, for the 5th day in a row, no one will recommend you go check your 401k today.
No, yeah, stay away.
The Dow dropped another 900 points this morning. Of course, it'll fluctuate throughout the trading day. It'll go up, it'll come down. That's not the final result for the day. It was a 1,000-point drop yesterday, and it wound up in the 700s when all was said and done. But
you get some support in there at the bottom, and that's something that you just pay attention to. If you're not trading it, you just kind of ride it out. But generally, the markets will move up in a pretty organized fashion, and then at some point, they're going to give some of that back. And what we've seen now is just kind of testing those support levels, meaning the bottom. Resistance is the top. So, yeah, you've kind of went through a support level this morning, and you may check it, later. It might get you down to about 45 and some change was my prediction earlier in the week. So, yeah, you never know, though. Probabilities of these things are not nailed to the wall, right?
Let me just say, let's run down the current inventory. The price of oil is spiking, pushing us towards an energy crisis. Mm-hmm. The economy and the jobs are tanking right now. There's war in the Middle East. I remember the 70s as being better than this, but it feels like we're just replaying the same old thing again.
It's a repeat. The 70s were absolutely a brutal and uproarious time in this country. Bombings, gas problems, hostages, and you just name it, man. It was going on. And we're seeing that again in this time. So it's not like we haven't been there. It's new. It's different. Some of the problems may be, but some of the problems are exactly the same. They're on repeat.
Well, the problems are different in flavor, not in type.
Yeah, got a little bit more spice on them, maybe.
So... And then, just to add to that, the final cherry on top of the Sunday of stink that we're currently going through, don't forget to spring forward Saturday night and lose an hour's sleep.
Exactly. Yeah, that's coming on the 8th. Be ready.
It's Saturday night before you go to bed, which now I think my oven resets its own clock.
Yeah, it's got its own brain now. Yeah, if it could just cook for you, that would be, the type of invention I need.
Hey, let's not get pushy here.
I want the robot from the Jetsons.
Yes, Rosie.
Rosie was the best.
It's what we named our robotic vacuum cleaner.
Man, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, brother.
You too, my friend. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy those bologna and egg sandwiches. And we'll do this again next Friday morning at 6:06. My friend, I'll see you then.
But I don't let it get me down. 'Cause this fine old world, it keeps spinning around.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.